Hey, this is Chris. How you doing? As I go past the elementary school here in Stovall, I guess I was a little bit wrong about that. This will be the northernmost school from now on. So people in Stovall, I don't know. Anyway, there's some schools that are in Granville County that are being consolidated together. One is an elementary school way out in the middle of nowhere, literally. And then one is really an historic school. Used to be a boarding school to teach like Reconstruction era blacks, and then that's how old it's been there. It's been there forever. And then I believe it was the black high school up until the county integrated, like in the late 60s or early 70s. And so those are two important schools to the county, and they're being closed. Of course, everybody's in an uproar. And I agree. I think there ought to be something that ought to be. You still have the same number of students. I don't think the overhead of operating two buildings is that overwhelming. You're not going to save money anywhere else, because if you have the same number of students, by definition, you have to have the same number of teachers, right? Unless that's the plan. Like, we're going to just get rid of teachers and overflow the classes like all the other schools are. But anyway. We get to the end of the news clip, and people are giving their reaction. One woman gets up and says, or doesn't get up, but she's up and says, if it weren't for all these people sending their kids to charter schools and public or private schools and homeschooling, then there'd be enough kids in the school we wouldn't have to mess with all this. And it just really irritated me. It irritated me because there's this, it's like, if you've made the decision that you want to send your child to public school, more power to you. But don't sit there and blame me for some problem that you're having because your kid's in public school. That's not my fault. It's not my fault anyway. I don't have kids in school anymore. But when they were of age to be in school, we homeschooled them. And everybody has a right to do that in this state, thank goodness. And everybody has a right to decide how they want their own children educated, and whether or not it's efficient or not for the public school system. Look, if the public school system were doing its job, there wouldn't be a need for private schools and homeschools. There just wouldn't be, or charter schools, because everyone would be getting the education they need. But parents recognize that public schools pretty much are subpar, pretty much across the nation, so that's just the way I look at it. And so, don't blame me for your problems. Blame the school board for their incompetence and not foreseeing this problem, because that's what it is. It's just incompetence. They've had the demographic data now for they get it every year, right? And they should know where the children are and where the children aren't and what they can do about it. And so they've decided, instead of sending some children that are on the fringe of Oxford and Stovall and little towns like this north, they've decided that they're going to make all the people who live out in the rural areas come south a lot further than they already do. And so, that's, what can I say? I don't think that the overhead of running 3 buildings or 2 buildings is a deal breaker. But then, this is the same school board that was paying the previous superintendent $250,000 a year and all kinds of perks for running a school district that doesn't have 11 or 12,000 kids in it. So, they're not the brightest crayons in the box, are they? No, they're not. All right, you have any similar situations where you live? Do you live in a rural area where populations are actually declining, or even urban areas, where populations are declining and people are having to make hard decisions? This isn't an urban area where people are leaving. It's just a decline. It's kind of weird that here we are 50 miles north of Raleigh, of downtown Raleigh, and we're facing this kind of thing. We're a shrinking population rather than everywhere else in the triangle is growing. It's kind of strange. Questions or comments, leave in the section below. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it when you do. We'll see you on the next video.